Hi, this is Tanya from Love Buddha Tarot, back with the cards for today for the 4th of January 2017. I'm still not getting used to that yet. Right, before I do the cards today, there is going to be a little bit of a price increase on my readings next week. This is because fees I have to pay and things like that, with banks and PayPal have gone up. So I have actually got to do that. I don't want to, but I have. So what I'm going to do before that, and to sort of celebrate Mercury coming out of retrograde as well, that comes out on the 8th, and that is when the prices are going to go up. So until the 8th, I am offering email readings half price. So if anybody would like an email reading, you can have them for £15, which normally they're 30. So, basically for the next 4 days. They are limited. There is a limit on how many of them that I can do. So I would get in quick if you would want them. Email readings are usually delivered to you within 24 hours. If there's a little bit of a backlog, it could be 48, but usually I try to get them out within 24 hours. So if anybody would like an email reading for me, what you do is send me 3 questions that you would like me to look at, and I look at them in depth for you and send it to you. So if anybody would like one of them, I will put a link below where you can get straight through to PayPal and actually order one of them. So like I say, that's just a little thank you before the prices go up. Secondly, I want to apologise a little bit. I have flu at the moment and I have a bit of a chest infection as well. So I'm going to try and get through the video as good as I can. But, if I have a little bit of coughs or whatever, I do have a drink there next to me. But I didn't want to just not do the video for it. Okay, so please bear with me, and hopefully I'll be back to normal. Well, never normal, but hopefully I'll be back feeling better shortly. Okay, so right, today, the first card that we have is Justice. Now, justice is all about the truth. This is what happens when justice comes in, and justice is a very karmic card. It can often mean like legal issues, but it's often, I always think that this card is connected with like the court of karmic law, and that is one of the toughest courts that there is. So when this card, it comes in, it's telling you that you must be truthful here, not just to others, but also to yourself. And it's reflecting a need for the truth. This is what it's saying. It's all about truth, this card. And it tells you that, life is far too short to live a lie, and you must speak your truth at all costs. And this is even if your voice is shaken, This is when you speak the truth, this is when you can achieve balance, because there's a lot of things out of balance at the moment. When I went to pull the cards, there was another card fell out, and the card that fell out was the 5 of Swords, which we had 2 days ago. Now, I didn't want to read that one again. If you can go back 2 days ago, I think it was the 2nd of January, and see the reading for that one if you want. And it was about control and abuse, really. And to be honest, I don't want to actually bring that in again. But this one, I feel, this is where you have to look at things how they actually are. Take any rose tinted glasses off and look at things how they are, and see why and where there is imbalance in your life, because by telling the truth, this is when the balance is actually brought in. When I was young, my mum always used to say to me, always tell the truth. I might not like it, but if I find out you've lied, I will be really mad, So I have a bit of a thing with the truth, and I tell it sometimes probably when I shouldn't, but, I think I was born without the ability to lie. So, this is the thing. I think when you tell the truth as well, then you never have anything to hide. So this card is saying that within life and within the society that we live in and things like that, a lot of people happily live a lie, because this doesn't rock the boat. It sort of keeps the status quo as well. And they hide behind a lot of illusions. And rather than facing the cold, hard truth, what they do is they live this sort of, this lie in this sort of bubble of untruths. And what happens is this causes discord within their life, within their relationships as well, because nothing is based on truth, on trust. And if we don't have truth, then we can't have truth. If we don't have truth, then we can't have trust. And without trust, we can't have truth neither. So they sort of work hand in hand. And the thing is, if you're not being truthful yourself, you know that deep down. So you then start to doubt other people because you think that they're the same. So truth and trust are paramount within any sort of relationship, whether this be romantic, whether this be friendship, whether this be work, whether this be family. It's got to be. If you want trust and if you want truth, they need to go hand in hand. So this card is saying here that today it's about stripping back sort of this veil, stripping back, bursting this bubble of untruths and seeing right through it, because you cannot pull the wool over the eyes of justice, and she is urging you to either own up or to confront. A lot of people don't like this card. I feel that the only people that don't like this card are the people who aren't being truthful as well, because if you are telling the truth, then you have nothing to hide, and nothing to be scared of. So even if you're standing in a court dock and you know that you're telling the truth and your story is based on truth, then you're not worried about, what can happen after that. And this card is never about punishment. But at times it can be uncomfortable. But again, like I say, only if we're not telling the truth. And what it does is it strips everything down to the cold hard facts. It brings all the evidence to light, and this is when the balance can be brought in. And where things haven't been right, if there's been untruths, this is where this just sort of shatters any illusions that are there, because the one thing that you can't do is hide from the truth. It comes out in the long run. It doesn't matter how much you try and smother it or repress it or whatever, the truth always comes out. Sometimes the truth can hurt us as well, but it's better to be hurt by the truth than to be hurt by a lie, because a lie will eventually come out in the long run as well. And we can all make mistakes, and what we do with mistakes is we learn from them, okay? But when we deny them, or when we fail to see them, this is when, again, we get discord and we get disharmony, because we are lying to ourselves. And that is one of the most dangerous lies that we can actually do, because we know deep down, our soul knows, but our ego tries to take over with this. So this card as well is saying that we can't point the finger of blame neither, justice won't allow that. Because if we point the finger of blame at somebody, there's always three pointing back at ourselves, So this card is really saying today, be truthful to yourself and the rest will follow. Everything will pan out as it should. And it's saying to look in the mirror as well and look yourself square in the eye, Can you do that? Can you look yourself straight in the eye, square in the eye, and know that you are telling the truth, So this card is saying it's time to stop blaming, it's time to stop hiding, and it's about taking responsibility for the part that you are playing in your life as well, And this is saying, we're in a court here, and it's saying about swear an oath unto yourself that you will stop any pretense that is there. Cut through the crap and know that this will actually form the best outcome that you can get as well. And what will happen once you suddenly start to tell the truth, this is when a weight will be lifted. You will feel it, when you are standing, when you are being your authentic self, when you are telling the truth, then everything else just seems to, sorry, Hendrix, everything else just seems to it seems to clear a path, if that makes sense, because you're not scared about somebody finding something out, or you're not scared about what's going to come to you, because if you're standing in your truth and you're being authentic, then, that is the best that you can do. So, like I say, this is about telling the truth, cutting through the crap here as well. And I really feel once you do this, it's like your energy will change as well, or the energy around a situation will change. And I feel this is when healing will occur as well, when the truth is told. So, like I say, it's all about the truth there. Now, I pulled an Osho card as well, and what we have for Osho, again, I don't like these. I love Osho cards, but there's certain few in them that I don't like, and we've had a couple of them out this week already. So when the Osho card that I pulled for today is control. Now, this is the King of Clouds. I think we had morality, the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords the other day, which was the Queen of Clouds, and today we have the King here. And if we look at this card, I really don't like it. Yes, it's green, which is usually connected with the heart chakra. But if we look at that king, he is rigid. I mean, his fists are clenched, his stare's blank, And it's sort of, when I look at this card, I get like quite an Egyptian feel with it. But it looks like he's sort of mummified and encased in a pyramid, So this is saying that the structure that he surrounded himself with, it looks dark. It looks cold, There is light there, and the light's trying to get through, we can see it glittering, but it cannot penetrate the cold and frozen, because it's sort of like he's in like an ice cage there, if you see it, and the light's trying to get through, and it's just bouncing back. Now, when we are discontrolled, or when we allow others to control us, there's always like an underlying nervousness, and there's always a tension. We can never let ourselves fully go because we're scared of either being judged or we're scared of showing weakness. And that is no way to live, Like I say, the card before, if we tell the truth, then everything sort of flows and, all of these structures will break down. But by the control keeps us hemmed in and it keeps us restricted as well. So, we're inhibited. This is what it does, and we cannot celebrate life. Life is about dancing, life is about flowing, life is about harmony and just going with the flow. Osho states that repression is the greatest form of control as well, and he tells us never to repress. I mean, when we repress stuff, this can actually cause us to be physically ill. I'm a great believer and follower of Louise Hay's teachings. And Louise Hay tells us that everything we physically have wrong with us is a result of something that we have emotionally. Like I say, this flu and this chest infection I have is down to mass negativity, which has been around. And this is, I knew that it was going to actually result in illness in some way. It's because disease is dis-ease, So when you're not at ease, then things happen, and I like I say, I was guaranteed. I knew this was going to happen. So this card is saying to you, look at where there is control in your life, and look at what part you're playing in this as well. What is it you are really scared of? Because a lot of times we allow control rather than actually kick back against it, and there's so much more to life than this, So at any time you have the ability to either stop controlling or to stop the control. If you're a victim, you can just say enough. And like I say, the cards this last week have been very victimized. I don't like them at all. I did post, I've seen a great article somebody sent me after I posted the card on Monday. And I have actually put a link to it in the comments on the card on Monday. And it's a lot about narcissistic relationships and stuff like that. So if anybody wants to look back, go back to Monday's video, and it's actually in the comments there, So this is saying, to have this sort of ordered, perfect world, that is not being alive. There is no spontaneity. You cannot be vulnerable in this. You have to be rigid, and that is no way to live. Because if we think, if anything is rigid, it's got more chance of shattering. When something's soft and when something's flowing, it can bend and it can adapt to any situation. Now, when Osho talks about this card, what he says is controlled persons are always nervous because deep down turmoil is still hidden. If you are uncontrolled, if you are flowing, if you are alive, then you are not nervous. There is no question of being nervous. Whatever happens, happens. You have no expectations for the future. You are not performing. Then why should you be nervous? To control that mind One has to remain so cold and frozen that no life energy is allowed to move into your limbs or into your body. If energy is allowed to move, these repressions will surface. That's why people have learned to be cold, learned how to be cold, how to touch others and yet not touch them, how to see people yet not see them. People live in a cliched life and they say, hello, how are you? Nobody means anything. These are just to avoid the real encounters between two people. People don't look into each other's eyes. They don't hold hands. They don't try to feel each other's energy. They don't allow each other to pour. They're very afraid. Somehow just managing, cold and dead, they are living life in a straitjacket. And that's what Osho says about control. I mean, if we look at control within our life, we are controlled a lot by the media, we are controlled by the TV. Everybody is telling us what we should do, This will make us happy. This will make us happy. And it doesn't, by being authentic, by living your life in a very free way, this is when happiness actually comes in. And as I said before, even this week, do you want to be happy or do you not want to be happy? That's pretty much, the way you should look at life. Is this going to make me happy? Is it not? And that's how you make your decisions. Don't cloud it with all this craziness of, like I say, it's very box like that. And I really don't like it's a bit like cubism, isn't it? It's a bit like a cubist picture, but I don't like the rigidity of that. It's really, it makes me quite uncomfortable. I mean, I don't like rules anyway. Some rules are there that you have to take, but when the rules that are actually going to make things worse for you, then I don't sort of subscribe to that way of thinking. So that's the Osho one. It's about the control, but I think if we put that next to the justice, this is about, right, okay, this is about see where the control is, own up to it, face it head on, and stop pretending that everything is fine, because the truth will come out in the long run, and let go of this control, whether it is you that is being controlled or you that is doing the controlling. It's not actually doing you any good. If anything, it's probably making you a lot tenser than what. I mean, if we have to stick to patterns or stick to things, then there's always the pressure that we're not going to do it. So like I say, it's putting more pressure on ourselves, which in turn causes more stress, which stress is, it's one of the biggest killers of our age, because everybody has got this control and everybody has to have everything just right and it's got to be done like this. And it's not cool, and it can affect us physically as well. So please, try and just relax into stuff, be vulnerable, be spontaneous, and just flow with things how they are. Now, I've pulled a Colette Baron Reid card as well, and I love these cards. I mean, some people think they're a little bit fluffy, but I really find them very accurate, and I really find them, quite positive messages as well, quite good advice, I would say. So this card is called Time to Go. It's number 45, so if you put 4 and 5 together, that's a 9. 9 is completion. Now, we did have the year of completion last year as well, didn't we? That was 2016. So what this card is saying is it's talking about the changes that we experienced last year, and they were all about us going into our authentic self and stuff like that. And it's been bloody hard, it has. But, we've owned up to a lot of things. We've seen ourselves in a different light. We've seen different people in a different light, and this is all what happens when we're being truthful. There's a great guy on Instagram, and he's called Badu Buddha, and I really like him. He writes so many things, and he's really funny. And he actually wrote one the other day, which I saved because I loved it, and it said, there is only conflict and drama and friction in fiction, and there's only proof in the truth. And that really, really, I thought I'm going to do some artwork with that, because I really, really like it, and it did make me laugh. So anyway, back to the Colette Baron Reid card. This is saying it's time to go, right? Okay, so this is talking about an ending. and that, we need to allow these endings. A lot of times when we're stuck in between, it's sort of like, oh no, we want to cling or we want to go back or whatever. And this happens when we're in a transition, between who we were and who we are becoming. Because I don't feel, we're not finished our journey yet. We're not, I feel we finish our journey the day we take our last breath, but there's this uncertainty when we're going through this transition, and this card talks about that. So what this card is saying is think about what you've learned, think about how you've changed as well. And what it's saying here is that there's an acceptance that, things will end, things can't stay the same forever, like I say, once the truth, once the veil's lifted and you see the truth, it is very hard. So within life, and when we grow and when we're on this path of growth, what happens is, we grow at different rates to people who were once important to us. And we need to realize and accept that we can't change other people or the circumstances, so sometimes within our journey, we have to leave people behind, we have to leave places behind, we have to leave things behind, we have to leave old expectations and old beliefs, because this is part of our growth process. I always say, once we have seen, we cannot unsee. If we could, life would be so much easier. But what happens as we grow on our path, old ideas, they don't work in our new state of consciousness or in our new dimensions, so we have to sort of let them go, So what I always say is, when you look back to the past, bless it, because it got you to this point on your journey, but it's time to say sort of like adios, and to move forward here, because if we try to stick where we were before this growth, we find it very uncomfortable. We can get hooked back into the old way of doing things, but we find it uncomfortable because we see the truth in that now, and we see that that doesn't work for us, and and we see that, hold on, this isn't actually helping my growth at all. Now, when we look at that card, I don't know if you can see it. I really, really, I love the artwork on this. And she's walking along this path. There's like I say, it's sort of like her dreams are following her, so she's following her dreams as well. If we look, she has wings, but the wings aren't solid yet, so this is talking about, we're at this stage in our journey where we are moving forward, but we're not fully there yet, we haven't fully found our freedom, but we will get there as long as we keep carrying forward. And like I say, it's like she's walking into the mist, and there's this door opening there for her, there's this door wide open. Now that path isn't even solid. The path she's came from is solid, but it's starting to disappear, and it's sort of like, this is because it's uncharted, this is because it's the unknown. But it's like, as soon as she steps, the steps will appear. There was an old video game I used to play with Donald Duck in it, and you just had to jump into midair. And once you jump, then the step would appear, So this is what this is, If you keep going forward, you will actually see your path start to become clearer with, like, in front of you, And this is a very exciting time. But this card is saying, it's like, go forward, don't look back, Shut that door and actually sort of move forward, because there is a door waiting for you there. And I do feel there's dreams. I do feel, there's like I say, this element of freedom. I feel that your wings will become more solid, once you do that. So, again, this is all about transitioning, and, and it is hard. Any transition, any rebirth is hard. It comes with its problems, because when we've been so used to doing something so way, and then we have to change, it's hard. It's like if you ever got in a car where you've drove like a manual car, and then you get into an automatic and you find it awkward at first, but then when you go back into a manual car after a couple of months, it's like, oh, this is so awkward, there's so much to do, so we get used to certain things. So when we try and break that habit, it can sort of knock us off course a little bit. But it's like I say, what we need to do is we need to keep going forward, because when we go back, what happens is we get stuck in this control, and like I say, these cards are urging you, and the universe is urging you that it is now time to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So that's what's came in there. So I hope you like them cards. There's a much more positive feel I feel coming through from them today. They've been very heavy, the cards this week, but the energies have been heavy. Like I say, we have Mercury sort of going direct on the 8th as well, so things should start to get like better by then, you know. Any communication problems, issues, anything like that, you know, Mercury is a bugger for things going wrong, you know. But as from the 8th, we will start to just things will be a bit better. I do feel that January is a bit of a mixed up month as well, but as I got given the other day, I got given that springtime is, you know, springtime is, I really feel a positive time as well. So that's what we've got to look forward to the springtime. So right, okay, I'm going to go and dose myself up with anything that I can to make me feel better. Probably old movies, you know. That's what I think I will do today. If anybody does want one of the email readings, or if they want a phone or Skype reading, then please get in touch either via my Facebook page, via my email. I will put a link down for the discounted emails. I will put that in the description below as well. And just have a fabulous day. And you know, it's all about the truth. When you tell the truth, then you have nothing to be scared of, and you will see the second you start to tell the truth, the tension will fall away. Okay, so have an absolutely fabulous day, and I'll be back tomorrow with the cards of today. Satnam.